My billionaire ex was watching when she pulled me behind the canvas and claimed me. The gallery's grand hall hummed like a hive on the edge of explosion, crystal glasses clinking like distant thunder, laughter bubbling up from clusters of silk-draped socialites and sharp-suited collectors. But Elena Reyes couldn't hear any of it. Not really. Her pulse thundered in her ears, a relentless drumbeat that drowned out the jazz trio's sultry saxophone weaving through the air. She stood before her own canvas, the massive oil painting that had taken her 6 months of sleepless nights and tear-stained brushes to birth, veins of velvet, a swirl of crimson and indigo bodies entwined in shadow, female forms melting into one another like secrets too heavy to hold alone. It was her rawest work yet, every stroke a confession of the love she'd lost, the one that still clawed at her chest like a caged animal. At 32, Elena had clawed her way from a cramped Brooklyn studio to this pinnacle moment in San Francisco's elite art scene. Her hands, calloused from years of gripping brushes like lifelines, trembled slightly as she adjusted the hem of her black velvet dress, the one she'd bought on impulse from a vintage shop in the Mission District, hoping it might armor her against the night. The dress hugged her curves just right, the fabric whispering against her skin with every breath, but it did nothing to steady the storm inside. Tonight was her breakthrough show, the kind that could launch her into the stratosphere or shatter her if it flopped. And she knew, deep in the marrow of her bones, that Victoria Langford would be here. Victoria, her billionaire ex. The woman who'd swept into Elena's life like a summer squall 5 years ago, all sharp cheekbones and sharper ambition, her fortune built on tech empires that spanned Silicon Valley to Wall Street. At 35, Vic was a force, tall, blonde, with eyes like polished steel that could undress you or dismantle you in the same glance. They'd met at a rooftop party in Soho, Elena fresh out of her MFA with paint under her nails and dreams too big for her budget. Vic had cornered her by the railing, champagne flute in hand, and murmured, "Your sketches? They're fire. But you're the blaze." 6 months later, Elena had moved into Vic's penthouse overlooking the bay, trading her leaky ceiling for marble floors and a studio funded by Vic's endless black card. But love like that? It burned hot and fast. Vic's world was mergers and midnight flights, boardrooms where emotions were liabilities. Elena's was canvas and chaos, nights spent chasing the perfect shade of longing. The fight started small, a canceled dinner, a forgotten anniversary, then escalated into shattered glass and slammed doors. "You're suffocating me with your art," Vic had spat one rain-lashed evening, her voice echoing off the floor-to-ceiling windows. "And you're vanishing into your deals," Elena had fired back, tears hot on her cheeks. The end came in a sterile airport lounge, Vic's parting gift a diamond necklace Elena never wore, and a whispered, "We were a masterpiece that cracked." Now, as the crowd swirled around her, Elena scanned the room like a hawk, her heart a fist in her throat. There, across the polished oak floor, under the chandelier's golden cascade, stood Vic. She looked every inch the queen, emerald gown clinging to her like a second skin, diamonds at her throat winking like accusations. Their eyes locked and the air thickened, charged with the ghost of touches and the sting of goodbyes. Vic raised her glass, a slow smile curling her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. Those were hungry, possessive, like she owned the very air Elena breathed. Elena tore her gaze away, breath hitching, and that's when she saw her. Mia Harlow, the curator who championed this show from the start, the woman whose quiet intensity had pulled Elena through the wreckage of her breakup like a lifeline tossed into churning waters. At 28, Mia was a vision of understated power. Curly auburn hair pinned loosely, freckles dusting her nose like stardust, and a tailored pantsuit in midnight blue that screamed confidence without apology. She'd grown up in a sleepy Oregon town, queer as the day is long, fighting her way to the city's galleries with a scholarship and a fire for stories untold. Professionally, she was a wizard, spotting talent like a diviner finds water, but personally, she guarded her heart like a vault, scarred by a college love that ghosted her mid-graduation. Their connection had sparked months ago over coffee in Mia's cluttered office, surrounded by the scent of fresh varnish and old books. "Your work isn't just pretty," Mia had said, leaning forward, her green eyes locking onto Elena's with an intensity that made the room shrink. "It's a pulse. It beats with everything you're too afraid to say. Elena had laughed it off then, but the words lingered, warming her through the cold nights alone. Late-night texts turned to shared bottles of Napa Red. Confessions spilling like paint on a drop cloth. Mia listened without judgment, her hand brushing Elena's in the dim light of dive bars, sending sparks up Elena's arm that she tried, and failed, to ignore. Tonight, Mia moved through the crowd like she owned it, clipboard in hand, directing the flow with effortless grace. But when her eyes found Elena's, something shifted. The noise faded to a hush, the saxophone's wail softening to a sigh. Mia crossed the room in measured steps, her heels clicking softly on the hardwood, each one echoing in Elena's chest like a countdown. "You look like you're about to bolt," Mia murmured, stopping inches away, close enough that Elena caught the faint citrus of her perfume mingling with the gallery's ambient rose from the floral arrangements. Elena's laugh was shaky, more exhale than sound. "Maybe I should. This place feels like a trap tonight." Mia's gaze flicked to Vic, then back, her jaw tightening just a fraction, the only tell of the jealousy Elena knew simmered beneath her cool exterior. "She's not worth the oxygen, Elle. Your art. This night. It's yours." Her fingers grazed Elena's elbow, light as a feather, but it ignited something deep, a warmth that spread like wildfire through Elena's veins. Before Elena could respond, the auctioneer cleared his throat at the podium, his voice booming over the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we begin with Lot 1. Elena Riz, Veins of Velvet. A testament to love's unyielding grip." The bidding erupted, numbers climbing like flames. 50,000, 80, 120. Elena's breath caught, her hand finding Mia's in the press of bodies, squeezing as if to anchor herself. Vic's voice cut through from the back. 200. Cool and commanding, her eyes never leaving Elena's. The room gasped, whispers rippling like wine through dry grass. Mia's grip tightened, her thumb tracing a small circle on Elena's skin. A silent promise. "Don't let her buy you again," she whispered, her breath warm against Elena's ear, carrying the faint mint of her gum. The gavel fell at 300,000, Vic's victory, and the crowd applauded, but Elena felt only the crush of history repeating. She slipped her hand free, murmuring an excuse about needing air, weaving through the throng toward the side room where oversized canvases waited like silent sentinels. The air there was cooler, thick with the turpentine tang of fresh paint and the musty whisper of canvas. Shadows pooled in the corners, lit only by the spill from the main hall. Elena leaned against a massive abstract, its surface rough under her palms, and let out a long shuddering breath. The weight of Vic's gaze burned into her back. She could feel it, even here like a brand. Footsteps, soft but deliberate. Elena turned, expecting Vic's predatory stride, but it was Mia. Her face was a storm, brows furrowed, lips parted as if words fought to escape. Without a sound, she closed the distance, her hands framing Elena's face, thumbs brushing away the tear Elena hadn't realized had fallen. "You deserve more than her ghosts," Mia said, voice low and fierce, cracking on the edges like thunder, distant but inevitable. Her eyes, those green depths, held Elena captive, swirling with a mix of fear and fire that mirrored Elena's own. Elena's heart hammered, the room spinning slow. "Mia, I." The words died as Mia pulled her behind the largest canvas, a towering abstract of fractured blues and golds propped against the wall like a forgotten dream. The fabric enveloped them, muffling the distant applause, creating a cocoon of dim light and held breath. Mia's body pressed close, heat radiating through the thin silk of her blouse, her hand sliding to Elena's waist, fingers splaying possessively. "I've watched you tonight," Mia confessed, her voice a husky whisper, lips brushing Elena's temple. "Watched her try to reclaim what's not hers. But you're the one who paints the fire in me." A pause, heavy with the scent of her skin, warm vanilla and resolve, and then Mia's mouth claimed Elena's in a kiss that was all desperation and devotion. It started soft, a tentative press of lips tasting of salt and longing, but ignited fast. Elena's hands fisted in Mia's hair, the curls springing wild under her fingers, pulling her closer as if the world might shatter them apart. Mia's sigh vibrated against Elena's lips, a sound raw and needy, her tongue tracing the seam until Elena opened, yielding with a gasp that echoed in the tight space. The kiss deepened, bodies arching, hips grinding in a rhythm as old as desire itself. Elena tasted the faint bitterness of Mia's lipstick, felt the rapid flutter of her pulse under her palm pressed to Mia's throat. From the sliver of space between canvases, Elena caught a glimpse, Vic frozen in the doorway, her face a mask of shock cracking into fury. She watched unblinking as Mia's hand slipped under Elena's dress, tracing the curve of her thigh with a touch that branded. Vic's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor like her illusions, the sound a sharp crack that pierced the haze. But Elena didn't pull away. For the first time in years she felt seen, not as a trophy or a muse, but as the woman who burned. Mia broke the kiss just enough to murmur against Elena's neck, teeth grazing skin. "Let her watch. This is us now." The words hung electric as Elena surrendered, her moan low and throaty, the canvas walls their only witness. Outside, the party raged on, oblivious, but in that hidden fold of art and shadow, a new story began to unfold, fierce, unapologetic, and utterly theirs. The shatter of Vic's glass lingered in Elena's mind like a bad aftertaste, even as Mia's lips trailed fire down her neck, nipping at the sensitive hollow where pulse met collarbone. The canvas loomed around them, its edges frayed and whispering with every shift of their bodies, the air heavy with the acrid bite of oil paint and the sweeter musk of arousal. Elena's back pressed into the rough weave, threads catching on her dress like tiny accusations, but she didn't care. Not when Mia's hands roamed with such tender urgency, palms sliding up her sides, thumbs brushing the undersides of her breasts through the velvet, sending jolts that arched her spine. "God, Elena," Mia breathed, her voice a ragged edge, forehead resting against Elena's shoulder as if gathering strength. Her breath came hot and uneven, stirring the fine hairs on Elena's skin, carrying the faint echo of the gallery's jazz now twisted into something primal. "I've wanted this since the first time you walked into my office, covered in that godforsaken cerulean blue, looking like you'd fought a storm and won." Elena's laugh bubbled up, half-sob, her fingers tangling deeper in Mia's curls, tugging just enough to elicit a soft hiss from those parted lips. "You mean the day I spilled coffee on your portfolio? Classy entrance." But her words dissolved into a gasp as Mia's knee nudged between her thighs, pressing firm, the friction a spark that made Elena's hips buck involuntarily. The world narrowed to this, the give of Mia's body under her touch, the distant murmur of the crowd like ocean waves crashing far offshore, the way Mia's eyes, dark into forest depths, held hers unflinching, promising more than escape. Vic was still there, Elena knew. A shadow in the periphery, her silhouette rigid against the warm glow spilling from the hall. The billionaire's presence was a chill draft slipping under the canvas's hem, prickling Elena's skin with old regrets. But tonight, it fueled something defiant in her chest, a rebellion blooming hot and sweet. Let Vic watch. Let her see what she'd thrown away. Not a fragile artist, but a woman alive with hunger. Mia's mouth found Elena's again, hungrier now, teeth catching her lower lip in a pull that stung deliciously. Tongues danced, slick and insistent, Elena tasting the tang of Mia's earlier sip of bourbon, earthy and bold like the woman herself. Hands explored. Elena slipping under Mia's blouse, fingers tracing the smooth plane of her stomach, feeling the quiver of muscle, the rapid rise and fall that mirrored her own. Mia's nails raked lightly down Elena's back, through the dress's fabric, leaving trails of heat that made her arch closer, breasts pressing flush, nipples hardening to peaks that begged for attention. A soft whimper escaped Elena, unbidden, vulnerable, and Mia swallowed it, her hand cupping Elena's face, thumb stroking her cheekbone with a gentleness that belied the fire in her kiss. "You're beautiful when you let go," she murmured between breaths, pulling back just enough to search Elena's eyes, her own glistening with unshed emotion. Freckles stood out stark against the flush creeping up her neck, and for a heartbeat the world stilled, suspended in that gaze. Two women scarred by loves that clipped their wings, now daring to fly together. But the moment fractured as Vic's voice sliced through, low and venomous from the shadows. Really, Elena? Behind a canvas like some cheap affair? I thought you had more class. The words landed like ice water, dousing the heat, and Elena stiffened, her hand freezing on Mia's hip. Mia didn't flinch. Instead, she turned her head slightly, chin lifting in defiance, her arm wrapping tighter around Elena's waist like a shield. This isn't about class, Victoria. It's about choice. And she's made hers. Vic stepped closer, heels clicking like gunfire on the parquet, her gown rustling with the promise of confrontation. Up close in the canvas's dim filter, she looked almost human, lines of strain etching her perfect makeup, eyes red-rimmed not from tears but rage. The scent of her Chanel No. 5 wafted in, cloying and familiar, twisting Elena's gut with memories of tangled sheets and whispered apologies. Choice? You call this a choice? I made you, Elena. That studio, your supplies, this entire fucking show. My money paved the way. Elena's throat tightened, the old script rising unbidden. The guilt, the gratitude that always morphed into chains. You invested in my art, Vic. Not me. Her voice cracked, but she held Mia's gaze, drawing strength from the steady green anchor there. Mia shifted, positioning herself half in front of Elena, her body a barrier of quiet fury. And I believed in her talent. Not because I could afford to, but because it's real. Unlike your bids. Flashy distractions from the fact that you can't stand losing. Vic's laugh was brittle, echoing off the walls like breaking porcelain. Oh please. You're the rebound, sweetheart. The safe bet for her fragile ego. But tell me, curator. Does she whisper your name in the dark like she did mine? Does she paint you into her nightmares? The air thickened, charged with venom, and Elena felt the tremor in Mia's frame, the subtle clench of her jaw. But Mia didn't rise to it. Instead, she turned fully to Elena, cupping her face again, ignoring Vic entirely. Do you want this? She asked, voice soft but steel-edged, eyes pleading for truth amid the chaos. Me? Us? Or her poison? Elena's breath hitched, the question a knife twisting in the scar tissue of her heart. Vic's stare bored into her, expectant, demanding the fealty she'd always claimed as right. But Mia offered freedom, wrapped in the warmth of hands that healed rather than owned. The gallery's hum filtered in, the clink of glasses, a woman's trill of laughter, like a lifeline to the life Elena had built without Vic's shadow. I want you, Elena whispered, the words tumbling out raw, her hands framing Mia's face in turn. And then she kissed her, deliberate and deep, pouring every ounce of conviction into it. Mia melted against her, a soft moan vibrating between them, her fingers threading through Elena's hair, holding on as if Elena were the only solid thing in a tipping world. Vic's sharp intake of breath was the only sound, a hiss of defeat. She didn't storm out. She stood transfixed as Elena's hands roamed Mia's body with newfound boldness, sliding under her jacket, tracing the lace edge of her bra, eliciting a gasp that made Elena's core clench. The canvas shielded them, but not entirely. Slivers of light caught the sheen of sweat on Mia's neck, the way her head fell back in surrender, exposing the elegant line of her throat. Stop, Vic finally choked, voice breaking, but it was half-hearted, laced with the realization that the show was over. She backed away, gown trailing like a fallen banner, disappearing into the crowd's embrace. In the aftermath, Elena and Mia clung together, breaths mingling in shaky harmony. The kiss slowed, evolving into something tender. Lips brushing foreheads, cheeks, the corners of eyes damp with relief. That was intense, Mia murmured, a wry smile tugging her lips, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on Elena's arm. Elena nodded, exhaling a laugh that trembled. Yeah, but worth it. She leaned in, nuzzling Mia's neck, inhaling the citrus vanilla that now felt like home. The party's energy pulsed beyond, but here, in their hidden alcove, time stretched lazy and sweet. They emerged eventually, hands linked, faces flushed but composed. The crowd parted subtly, whispers trailing like smoke. Had they seen? Guessed? Elena didn't care. Mia led her to the bar, ordering 2 glasses of chilled Sauvignon Blanc, the condensation cool against Elena's palm. They toasted quietly, glasses chiming like a vow, eyes locked over the rims. As the night wore on, bids soared on Elena's other pieces, collectors drawn to the electric undercurrent she'd unwittingly charged the room with. Vic vanished into the throng, a ghost exorcised, but her absence lingered like a freed breath. Mia stayed close, her touch a constant, fingers brushing knuckles, a knee pressed to Elena's under the high-top table. By midnight, the gallery emptied, leaving echoes and empty flutes. Mia locked the doors, the click final as a period. "Stay," she said, turning, her silhouette framed by the moon through the skylight. "Paint with me. Not for a show. Just us." Elena crossed to her, pulling her into an embrace that deepened into kisses slow and exploratory, hands mapping new territories with the reverence of rediscovery. They made love right there, on the gallery floor amid scattered catalogs, the cool hardwood biting into skin offset by the heat of bodies entwined. Mia's sighs filled the space, soft and unrestrained, her nails digging crescents into Elena's shoulders as waves built and crested. Elena whispered praises against her skin. "You're my color, my light," each word a brushstroke binding them closer. Dawn crept in rosy-fingered, painting the walls in hues Elena itched to capture. They lay tangled, sheets of discarded clothes their blanket, breath sinking in the quiet. For the first time Elena felt whole. Not cracked porcelain but living canvas, ready for whatever strokes came next. Weeks blurred into a rhythm Elena hadn't known she craved. Mornings tangled in Mia's Haight-Ashbury apartment, the scent of fresh espresso mingling with the lavender of Mia's sheets, sunlight slanting through mismatched curtains to dance across freckled skin. Mia's place was a curated chaos, shelves groaning under art tomes and vintage vinyl, walls papered in faded posters of Frida Kahlo and Diane Arbus, a faint undercurrent of incense from last night's meditation lingering like a promise. At 28, Mia moved through it with the ease of someone who'd built her sanctuary brick by emotional brick, her curator's eye turning everyday clutter into poetry. Elena, at 32, found herself lingering longer each day, her own loft in the Castro feeling emptier by comparison. She'd always been the nomad, sketches in her bag, heart packed light after Vic's hurricane. But Mia grounded her, not with demands but quiet invitations. "Try this vintage Riesling from my folks' vineyard," she'd say, pouring amber liquid into jelly jars, her bare feet curling against Elena's on the worn rug. Or, "Tell me about the blue in that storm piece. Does it taste like regret?" Her questions peeled back layers, gentle as unwrapping a gift, drawing out stories Elena had buried under layers of oil and denial. Their days wove work and wonder. Mornings Elena painted in Mia's sun-drenched living room, the bay window framing views of Victorian rooftops and distant fog rolling in like a lover's sigh. The brush felt alive in her hand now, strokes bolder, colors bleeding with a joy she'd forgotten. Mia would watch from the kitchenette, chin propped on her hand, green eyes soft with that intense focus that made Elena's skin hum. "You're glowing," Mia murmured one afternoon, crossing to press a kiss to Elena's paint-smudged shoulder, her lips lingering warm and wet. Afternoons bled into gallery hours, Mia's domain a whirlwind of velvet ropes and whispered deals. Elena tagged along sometimes, perched on a stool in the back office, sketching quick portraits of patrons while Mia negotiated with silver-haired collectors, her voice a velvet blade, charming, unyielding. The scent of polished brass and blooming orchids filled the air, undercut by the faint ozone of the humidifier humming in the corner. Once, during a slow hour, Mia pulled Elena into the storage room, amid crates of forgotten frames, and kissed her against a stack of blank canvases, hands roaming with the urgency of stolen time. "Can't focus with you out there distracting me," Mia confessed, breathless, her laughter a low rumble that vibrated through Elena's chest. Evenings were theirs alone. They'd wander the mission's murals, fingers laced, street tacos dripping spice onto paper plates, the sizzle of grills and mariachi strains from open windows a soundtrack to their banter. Mia's laugh came freer now, head thrown back under neon signs, curls bouncing wild. "Remember that first coffee spill?" she teased, bumping Elena's hip. "I knew then. You were trouble wrapped in talent." Elena would pull her close in shadowed alleys, kisses tasting of cilantro and mischief, the city's pulse syncing with their own. But shadows crept in uninvited. Vic's absence was a specter, Her $300,000 purchase of Veins of Velvet, a chain Elena hadn't shaken. The painting hung in Vic's Pacific Heights mansion now, Elena imagined, a trophy mocking her from some sterile wall. Whispers reached her through the grapevine. Vic at openings, her bids aggressive, eyes scanning crowds for Elena's name on labels. Then came the email, innocuous at first. A gallery invite from a neutral third party, but the attachment, a photo of Vic lounging beside the canvas, champagne in hand, caption reading, "Still my favorite acquisition." Elena's stomach knotted. The screen's glow harsh in Mia's dim kitchen. She deleted it, but the poison lingered, seeping into dreams where Vic's hands turned possessive, pulling her back into marble cages. Mornings after, she wakes slick with sweat, Mia's arm a warm anchor across her waist. "Talk to me," Mia would murmur, voice thick with sleep, fingers tracing soothing circles on Elena's hip. And Elena would, words spilling, halting. The fear of being owned again. The terror that her fire was just Vic's spark. Mia's response was always steady, her touch a bomb. One rainy Tuesday, as thunder grumbled over the bay, she led Elena to the studio, hands gentle on her shoulders. "Paint it out," she said, pressing a fresh canvas into Elena's arms, the wood cool and expectant. "Not for sale. For you. For us." Elena hesitated, brush hovering, but Mia's presence, perched on a stool, legs swinging, humming an old Joan Baez tune, unlocked something. The strokes came furious. Blacks and grays swirling into Vic's silhouette, fractured by slashes of gold, Mia's light breaking through. By dusk the canvas wept color, a catharsis in oils. Mia crossed to it, silent at first, then wrapped Elena from behind, chin on her shoulder, breath warm against her ear. It's rage and release. Beautiful. Her hand slid down, linking over Elena's, guiding the brush in one final sweeping arc of crimson. The intimacy of it, bodies aligned, breath sinking, ignited slow, turning as Mia's lips found the curve of Elena's neck, sucking softly, teeth grazing just enough to draw a moan. They made love on the drop cloth, surrounded by the chaos of tubes and pallets, the air thick with turpentine and desire. Mia took her time, kisses trailing down Elena's body like worship, tongue flicking nipples to peaks, fingers delving with exquisite patience, curling just right to pull gasps from Elena's throat. "Let go," Mia whispered. Eyes locked as Elena shattered, waves crashing in her core, name a chant on her lips. In turn, Elena explored Mia with reverence, lips mapping freckles like constellations, hands and mouth coaxing cries that echoed off the walls, Mia's back arching off the stained fabric, thighs trembling around Elena's head. After they lay spent, limbs entwined, rain pattering the window like applause. "You're not her echo," Mia said softly, tracing Elena's jaw. "You're the whole damn symphony." Gratitude swelled, but so did vulnerability, a fear Elena voiced in the dark. What if she comes back? Tries to buy her way in? Mia's answer was a fierce kiss, bodies stirring anew. "Then we fight. Together." The next week brought confrontation unbidden. Elena's phone buzzed during a quiet lunch at Tartine, the clatter of plates and espresso machines fading as Vic's name flashed. "We need to talk," the text read, followed by an address. A discreet cafe in Nob Hill, neutral ground. Elena showed Mia the message over croissants, flakes crumbling like her resolve. "Go," Mia said, surprising her, green eyes steady. "End it clean. I'll be here when you get back." The cafe was all dark wood and hushed tones, the air rich with buttery pastries and fresh grounds. Vic waited in a corner booth, impeccable in cashmere, but shadows bruised her eyes. Sleepless nights, Elena guessed. "You look good," Vic started, voice smooth as aged whiskey, but Elena cut her off. "Sell the painting. Or burn it. I don't care. Just stop haunting me." Vic's laugh was hollow, fingers drumming the table, nails manicured to lethal points. "Haunting? Darling, that's love. You think your little curator can give you what I did? Stability? The world." Elena leaned forward, voice low, the scrape of her chair a grind of finality. "She gives me. Without the price tag." She stood, leaving Vic with the dregs of her latte, the bells jingle a farewell chime. Back at Mia's, Elena burst through the door, rain-soaked and triumphant, finding me a midster of risotto, apron dusted in arborio. The kiss was salt and spice, Elena's hands tugging Mia close, the stove's heat nothing compared to the fire reigniting. "It's over," she gasped against Mia's mouth. "For good." They celebrated slow, dinner forgotten, bodies colliding on the kitchen floor amid scattered utensils, laughter mingling with moans. Mia's touches were claims of their own, gentle bites on inner thighs, fingers weaving with Elena's as pleasure built, cresting in shared release that left them boneless, whispering vows into sweat-damp skin. But peace, Elena learned, was a canvas ever shifting. A month later, Mia's ex surfaced. A ghost from Eugene days. A poet named Riley who'd left scars deeper than words. An email, innocuous, praising Mia's latest curation, but laced with old intimacies. "Miss our late-night verses. Coffee." Mia's face paled over breakfast, bagel half-eaten, the cream cheese's tang forgotten. "It's nothing," she lied, but Elena saw the flinch, the way her fingers twisted the napkin to shreds. "Tell me," Elena pressed, hand over Mia's, the table's oak warm under their elbows. Mia's confession came halting. Riley's abandonment post-graduation, the poetry that promised forever then vanished, leaving Mia adrift in a city that chewed dreamers. The jealousy Elena felt was a new beast, twisting sharp, but she swallowed it, offering instead. "Write her back. Close the circle. Like I did." Mia did, her reply terse but true, sent from Elena's lap on the couch, thunder rumbling outside like approval. The response came swift. Regret? No reconciliation. Mia exhaled, body sagging into Elena's, tears hot on her shirt. That night they reclaimed each other fiercely, kisses bruising, hands gripping as if to etch permanence. Elena took the lead, pinning Mia's wrists above her head, mouth devouring breasts, tongue swirling to draw arching cries. "Mine," she growled, fingers plunging deep, thumb circling the bundle of nerves that made Mia keen, body convulsing in waves that soaked the sheets. Mia's turn was reverent, lips and fingers coaxing Elena to edges she'd never known, whispers of forever against pulsing skin. In the afterglow, curled under quilts smelling of them, Mia traced Elena's tattoos, delicate vines curling her ribs, inked in a haze of post-breakup rebellion. "We're building something real," she said, voice thick. "No bids. No ghosts." Elena nodded, heart full, but the city's underbelly whispered doubts. Vic's influence lingered in cancelled invites, subtle blackballing, dealers ghosting, a review in the Chronicle dismissing Elena's new series as derivative heartbreak. Mia fought it, pulling strings with her network, but the strain showed in her tightened smiles, the late nights poring over budgets. One evening, after a particularly brutal call from a flaky patron, Mia snapped, glass shattering against the sink, shards glittering like accusations. "I'm failing you," she choked, back to Elena, shoulders heaving. Elena crossed the kitchen in 2 strides, turning her gently, wiping suds and tears from her cheeks. "We're in this. Together." The kiss started soft, apology in every brush, but deepened as hands sought solace, slipping under hems, tracing scars both seen and felt. They moved to the bedroom, bodies a tangle of need and nurture. Mia riding Elena slow, eyes locked, breath sinking in a rhythm that healed. Climax came shared, a quiet storm, leaving them whispered and whole. Yet the pressure mounted. Vic struck back overtly. A lawsuit threat over veins, claiming emotional damages, her lawyer's letter arriving crisp and cold. Elena's world tilted, sleep evading, brushes idle. Mia held the fort, but cracks formed, arguments over strategy, Mia's protectiveness clashing with Elena's pride. The breaking point came mid-rehearsal for a joint exhibit, Mia's gallery hosting Elena's next show. Tempers flared over placement, words flying like sparks. "You're hovering," Elena accused. "I'm protecting us," Mia shot back. The door slammed, silence heavy as fallout. Elena wandered the Castro's fog-shrouded streets, neon blurring through mist, the chill seeping bone deep. Regret gnawed. Had she dragged Mia into her mess? At a dive bar, nursing whiskey that burned less than shame, her phone lit. Mia's text. "Come home. Please." The apartment door creaked open to candles flickering, risotto simmering. The same meal from their first real night. Mia waited, eyes red but resolute, pulling Elena into an embrace that smelled of garlic and grace. "I'm sorry. I got scared." No more words, just bodies speaking. Kisses fervent, hands mapping forgiveness. On the rug amid candlelight's dance, they explored with desperate tenderness. Elena's tongue delving between Mia's folds, lapping slow until cries filled the room, Mia's fingers in her hair at anchor. Reciprocation was worship, Mia's mouth a revelation, bringing Elena to shattering with skilled, loving strokes. Dawn found them entwined, the fight a scar faded. "We'll face it," Elena vowed, fingers laced. "All of it." The lawsuit loomed like a thunderhead over their fragile skyline. Vic's legal salvo a calculated strike, alleging veins of velvet, exploited private moments, twisting Elena's art into a weapon. Papers arrived via courier, the envelopes heft a gut punch, ink black as betrayal. Elena read it alone in Mia's office, the gallery's hush amplifying each rustle, the air stale with recycled tension and the faint floral of wilting centerpieces. Mia found her there, slumped over the desk, fingers shredding the letter's edge. "Hey," she said softly, kneeling, hands on Elena's knees, green eyes searching like lifelines. "Breathe with me." Inhale, chest rising together. The scent of Mia's wool sweater grounding. Exhale. Tension uncoiling slow, Elena's tears splashing hot on the page. They hired a shark. Lila-chan, a no-nonsense attorney from Chinatown. Her office a fortress of case files and jade talismans. The air humming with the neighbor dim sum cart steam. Lila's verdict over jasmine tea. Frivolous. But it'll drag. Vic's playing dirty to wear you down. Strategy sessions stretched late. Takeout boxes piling like evidence. Mia's hand a constant on Elena's thigh under the table. Thumbs circle a silent, "We got this." Publicly, the art world buzzed, gossip columns in the Examiner hinting at scandalous splits. Vic's camp leaking snippets to fuel the fire. Elena's inbox flooded. Support from allies, shade from opportunists. One night, scrolling in bed, the glow harsh on Mia's concerned face, Elena snapped the laptop shut. "It's poison. All of it." Mia's arms enveloped her, pulling her down into sheets that smelled of lavender and last night's loving. "Then let's make our own story." Kisses trailed distraction, soft on eyelids teasing at ears, hands wandering to soothe. Elena yielded, body arching as Mia's fingers traced ribs, dipping lower to circle slick heat, drawing moans that drowned the worry. Pleasure built languid, Mia's mouth following, tongue's flat press eliciting shudders, Elena's release a wave crashing soft. But the strain seeped into cracks. Mia's curation suffered, deadlines missed, a key loner pulled amid the drama. Over dinner at a tucked-away Italian in North Beach, candle flames dancing on Chianti glasses, she confessed, "I'm losing focus. This, it's everything, but the gallery's my anchor." Elena's fork paused mid-air. Pesto's basil bite forgotten. Guilt twisted sharp. "Is it too much?" Mia's hand shot across the checkered cloth, gripping tight. "Never. But I need balance." The words hung vulnerable and Elena nodded, throat tight, vowing silently to armor up. Resolution came unexpected. A call from an indie filmmaker, scouting for a doc on queer artists. "Your story's raw," the director gushed over speaker, her Brooklyn accent crackling. "Vic's bullshit? It spotlights resilience." Mia's eyes lit, seeing the pivot turn defense to narrative. They dove in, cameras rolling in the studio, Elena midstroke on a new piece. Reclaimed strokes. Figures emerging from ash, female forms bold and unbowed. The lens captured it all, Mia's quiet directions, their stolen glances, a kiss brushed quick between takes, laughter bubbling as paint-flecked cheeks. Off-camera, intimacy deepened. Post-shoot, in the editing suite's dim, Elena straddling Mia's lap, grinding slow to the hum of reels, gasps muffled against necks as fingers delved, climaxes sinking like cuts in film. Vic countered with a gala invite, black tie, her foundation's pet project, the card embossed gold, a siren call. "Come. Show the world you're above it." It read, but Elena saw the hook. She burned it in the sink, blue flame licking vellum. Mia's arms around her waist, chin on shoulder. Proud of you, Mia whispered, turning her for a kiss that scorched. Teeth nipping, hands pinning walls, bodies colliding urgent. On the counter, amid ashen embers, Mia dropped to knees, mouth devouring Elena's core. Tongues flick relentless until screams echoed, release ablaze. The doc trailer dropped viral, queer feeds ablaze. Art over assholes trending, supporters flooding Elena's DMs with fists and rainbows. Vic's suit faltered, witnesses recanted. Her PR spin unraveling like cheap thread. Lila's email. They're dropping it. Full retraction. Relief crashed like breakers, Elena and Mia celebrating on the Golden Gate span at dusk, wind whipping curls, foghorns moaning low. Bridge lights twinkled below, a necklace of fire. We did it, Elena breathed, Mia's back to her chest, arms wrapped tight. Mia's head tilted, lips finding Elena's in a kiss, salt kissed by bay spray. You did. But we. Always. Hands roamed under jackets, cold air nipping skin as they sought warmth. Fingers unbuttoning, palms cupping breasts, nipples pebbling under touch. Discretion be damned. In the viewpoint's shadow they touched fervent, Mia's hand slipping into Elena's jeans, fingers curling deep amid gasps swallowed by wind. Elena reciprocated, stroking Mia to trembling peak. Cries lost to gulls. Home brought languor. Baths drawn steaming, bubbles foaming like champagne, bodies slick and sliding. Mia washed Elena slow, loofah tracing curves, kisses following suds down spine to cleft, tongue delving teasing until Elena begged, release rippling water. Reciprocal worship. Elena's mouth on Mia's folds, fingers joining, drawing out wails that steamed mirrors. But victory's glow dimmed with Mia's news, dropped casual over brunch at foreign cinema. Projector flickering, old reels on brick walls, mimosas fizzing. Got an offer. Curate in Berlin. 6 months. Overlaps with your Berlin show. Elena's fork clattered. Avocado toast blurring. Joy warred with ache. Opportunity gleaming, distance a specter. That's huge, she managed, forcing smile, heart pounding like the cafe's espresso machine. Mia's foot nudged hers under the table, green eyes probing. But the butt was a chasm. Fresh wounds from past abandonments, Vic's echoes whispering doubt. Timing. After everything. Understanding dawned, Mia's hand covering hers, warm and sure. Come with me. Or wait. But it's not goodbye. Debate stretched weeks. Pros weighed over walks in Golden Gate Park. Eucalyptus sharp in nostrils, joggers' breaths puffing clouds. Cons aired in bed, bodies entwined post-love. After Mia's skilled fingers brought Elena to sobbing peak, whispers turning serious. I don't want to lose this, Elena confessed, tracing Mia's collarbone, skin goosebumped. You won't. Mia's vow, sealed in kiss, bodies merging again. Slow grinds, shared breaths, climaxes a bridge over fears. Decision crystallized at a queer open mic in the Castro. Stage lights hot. Poets spilling verses of love's fractures. A piece on long distance ache hit home. Raw rhyme twisting Elena's gut. Backstage, amid velvet curtains smelling of sweat and spotlight, she pulled Mia close. Go. I'll visit. We'll make it art. Mia's grin split wide, kiss crashing grateful. Hands fumbling hems in shadows, fingers stroking quick to muffled gasps. Release a prelude to parting. Packing blurred frantic. Mia's suitcases zipped amid tearful laughs, Elena's gifts tucked in. A custom sketchbook, pages prepped with their outlines intertwined. Airport farewell dawn foggy, SFO's hum a dirge. At security embrace lingered Mia's whisper hot. 6 months. Then forever. Elena's nod choked, kiss final, tongues tangle promising return. Plane's roar swallowed her, leaving Elena adrift in terminal echoes, heart a hollow throb. Solo week stretched, studio a haunt. Elena painted voracious. Berlin-inspired, cityscapes veined with longing. Grays pierced by hope's gold. Calls bridged miles. Mia's voice tinny over FaceTime. Gallery tales laced with miss you. Elena's updates on sales, fingers tracing screen as if skin. Virtual intimacies sparked. Late-night videos, bodies bared. Hands mimicking touches. Moans sinking across oceans to shared peaks. But loneliness gnawed, amplified by Vic's final jab. A package at Elena's door. The painting returned, note clipped. Yours. Free. Frame heavy as absolution. Elena hung it in the loft, confronting the ghost, strokes now allies in healing. Midway, Elena jetted east, Tegel's chill biting, Berlin's graffiti a riot of color. Mia waited at arrivals, curls wild under beanie, hug crushing. Hotel room became sanctuary. Doors locked, bodies colliding. Kisses bruising, clothes shed frantic. On crisp linens, Mia claimed her slow. Mouth mapping every inch, fingers and tongue coaxing cries in foreign tongues. Elena's release a symphony. Reciprocal. Elena atop, grinding deep, watching Mia unravel, name a prayer. Months wove tighter, visits a tapestry. Return flight home, Mia in tow, their exhibit a triumph. Crowds thrumming, pieces selling swift. Post-show loft party raged. Wine flowing, queer icons toasting. Air thick with perfume and possibility. In quiet aftermath, Elena proposed not with rings but resolve. Move in. Make this ours. Mia's yes was a kiss. Body sealing it on gallery floors once more. Love's claim eternal. Life in tandem bloomed vivid. Mia's belongings migrating to Elena's loft in waves. Crates of vinyl stacking by the turntable. Art journals spilling across the kitchen island. Her citrus scent infusing every corner like a signature. The Castro apartment transformed. A shared studio carved from the spare room. Easels facing drafting tables. The air perpetual with varnish and visionary chatter. Morning started synced. Coffee brewing to the gurgle of the machine. Elena's sleepy kisses on Mia's neck as she frothed milk. Steam curling like desire's prelude. At 32 and 28, they navigated rhythms with grace honed by distances forged. Elena's days split canvas and commissions, her style evolving. Figures less fractured, more fused, lovers' limbs a dance of equity. Mia's curations gained edge, shows spotlighting queer narratives, her pitches laced with Elena's influence. Art as revolution, not relic. Evenings unwound in domestic poetry. Cooking paella on the fire escape, saffron's earthiness mingling with bay breezes, laughter over charred edges, or slow dances to Billie Holiday in the living room. Body swaying to velvet croons, hands roaming to spark couch tangles, fingers delving lazy gasps harmonizing with horns. Intimacy deep in layers. Not just fire but embers. One fog-bound Sunday, rain drumming tin roof, they lazed abed. Sheets twisted from night's explorations. Mia traced Elena's tattoos anew. Lips following vines to hip. Tongue dipping low to elicit shivers. Tell me a secret, she murmured, breath hot against thigh. Elena's confession spilled. A childhood crush on her best friend's older sister. Awkward glances in summer heat. Drawing Mia's grin, mouth claiming core in reward. Slow licks building to quaking release. Reciprocal tales turn touches. Elena's fingers curling inside Mia as stories of first queer awakenings poured. Climax a shared sob of recognition. Challenges crept subtle. Elena's wanderlust clashing Mia's rootedness. A gallery trip to Ellis sparking debate over packing light. I need space to breathe, Elena argued, voice edged, pacing the loft's creaky boards. Mia's hurt flashed, arms crossing like barriers. And I need you here. Not chasing solos. Words hung sharp, silence a chasm. Reconciliation brewed slow. Elena's apology note slipped under the bathroom door, scrawled on sketch paper. You're my horizon. Finding Mia in the tub. Bubbles parting for Elena's joining. Water sloshed as bodies aligned, kisses salty. Hands soaping curves to size. Forgiveness in Mia's straddle. Grinding deep to mutual crest. Bigger storms brewed external. Vic's retraction drew media hounds. A podcast invite dangling exposure. From billionaire breakup to queer power couple. Elena balked. The green room's makeup lights harsh, mirror-reflecting ghosts. It's us on display, she told Mia pre-taping, fingers twisting mic cord. Mia's squeeze grounded. Or our truth owning the narrative. On air, vulnerabilities bared, Elena's scars from Vic's control. Mia's from Riley's fade. Drawing calls of solidarity. But trolls too, vitriol slicing DMs. Slurs, threats veiled in concern. Nights after, Elena paced, phone dark, city's neon a blur through rain-streaked windows. Mia pulled her to the fire escape, Blanket wrapped, hot toddies steaming cinnamon. Their noise, she said, lips brushing temple. We're the signal. Warmth spread, toddies burn yielding to touches. Blanket tenting as hands explored. Mia's mouth suckling breasts to peaks. Fingers plunging rhythmic until Elena keened. Release muffling screams in wool. Triumph's balance scales. Elena's solo show in Soho. Canvases shipped east. Mia curating the install. New York pulsed electric. Subway rumbles, street vendors falafel spice sharp. Hotel nights a frenzy of reunion. After opening, champagne buzzed, they tumbled into sweet sheets, gowns hiked, bodies urgent. Elena's tongue tracing Mia's spine. Fingers from behind curling to gasps. Mia's cries echoing off Hudson views. Dawn brought tenderness, coffee room service. Plans whispered for futures unbound. Back west, roots deepened. Mia's proposal for a queer arts collective gained traction. Grants flowing, Elena volunteering designs. Murals of intertwined hands, colors defiant. Community nights filled the loft. Potlucks with tamales steaming. Stories circling like smoke. Laughter drowning doubts. One gathering amid bong hits and board games. A non-binary artist cornered Elena. Your work saved me, seeing love unbroken. Tears pricked. Mia's hand lacing hers under the table, thumbs vow. But fracture loomed personal. Mia's cycle skipped, panic blooming. Tests negative but talks turning to dreams deferred. Kids. Mia ventured one twilight walk. Dolores Park's palms rustling. Picnickers' frisbees arcing lazy. Elena's step faltered, heart a stutter. Someday. With you. But visions clashed. Mia's nurture calling early, Elena's art-first ethos pulling back. Not yet, Elena said soft, squeezing hand. Build us solid first. Tension simmered unspoken, erupting over a fertility seminar Mia booked solo. Why hide it? Mia accused, voice cracking in the kitchen. Knife paused mid-chop, onion sting mirroring eyes. Feels like you're opting out. Elena's defense rose hot. I'm in all in but timing L. Can't rush masterpieces. Door slam echoed, Mia storming to the studio. Elena adrift in silence broken only by fridge hum. Hours ticked, regret festering like unpainted rot. Elena found her at canvas, brush slashing angry reds, tears streaking cheeks. I'm scared, Mia admitted, voice small, collapsing into arms. Of losing you to this. Hug crushed, Elena's whispers bomb. Never. You're my everything. They sank to the floor amid pallets, kisses healing. Soft pecks evolving to devours, hands stripping slow. Mia atop straddling, grinding with desperate rhythm. Elena's fingers aiding. Thumbs circling to draw wails, release a floodgate for sobs. Night blurred forgiveness. Turns trading, mouths and fingers weaving catharsis. Bodies a testament to endurance. Resolution flowered compromise. Freezing options, a future sketched loose. Joy returned amplified. Mia's energy channeling into the collective. Elena's pieces infusing shows with family motifs. Chosen kin, not blood. Climax brewed unforeseen. Vic's empire cracked, SEC probe leaking. Insider trades, her name splashed tabloids. Elena's phone rang anonymous. She wants a truce. Meet. Curiosity ward caution, Mia's nod reluctant. Go. But I'm your shadow. Cafe redux, same Nob Hill haunt. Vic diminished. Hair limp, eyes hollow, latte untouched. I was wrong, she said flat, voice stripped. The suit. Desperation. Ruined me more than you. Elena's walls held. Mia's presence a silent sentinel across the booth. Why now? Vic's shrug weary. Rock bottom. Seeing you thrive. It broke the mirror. Check slid over. Full painting refund. Plus donation to the collective. Peace. Elena pocketed it, standing. For me, yes. For us? We're done. Mia's hand met hers outside, squeezed triumphant. Kiss in alley shadows ceiling. Quick flicks of tongue, hands cupping asses, spark reigniting homeward. Loft awaited, dinner simmering, Vic's check funding a feast. Over wine, toasts rose. To endings that birth beginnings. Laughter flowed, bodies later mirroring mirth. Playful wrestles turning carnal. Mia pinning Elena. Mouth trailing fire to core. Tongues swirl expert. Fingers joining for shattering. Elena's revenge sweet. Toys from drawer strap harnessed, thrusting deep to Mia's arching pleas. Climaxes a duet of power shared. Summer crested, collective launch a bash. Warehouse aglow, installations pulsing, queer bodies dancing to DJ beats, sweat and strobe. Elena and Mia center floor. Hips sinking, kisses amid cheers. Backdrop, their collab piece. Entwined horizons. Figures reaching across divides, colors bleeding hope. Mid-spin, Mia pulled close, breath hot. Marry me. Words lost to bass, but eyes screamed yes. Elena's nod, tears joy salt. Kiss crashing profound. The proposal hung in the air like confetti, the warehouse's bass thumping a heartbeat to their revelation. Bodies pressed close amid the swirl of dancers. Queer joy a living pulse, lights fracturing rainbows on sweat-glistened skin. Elena's yes was a gasp against Mia's lips, the kiss sealing it deep and devouring, tongues tangling with the promise of vows yet unspoken. Hands roamed possessive under shirts, nails grazing backs, the crowd's energy fueling their private fire. They slipped away early, loft calling like a honeymoon prelude. The city's night air cool on flushed cheeks, fingers laced tight as they dashed through Castro streets, laughter trailing like sparks. Home was a sanctuary aglow. Candles lit, hasty wine poured into mismatched mugs, the scent of aged oak in anticipation thick. Mia knelt first, ringless but reverent, lips tracing Elena's navel as she peeled away clothes, tongue dipping lower to worship. Slow laps that arched Elena's back, fingers curling inside to hit that spot unerring, moans rising to crescendo, release a wave crashing with Mia's name a chant. Elena reciprocated fierce, pushing Mia to the rug, mouth claiming breasts to bites. Hand between thighs stroking firm until Mia bucked, cries raw and releasing, body quaking in surrender. Dawn wove them in sheets, plans sketched lazy, elopement in Big Sur, cliffs crashing below, just witnesses of wind and wave. No spectacle, Elena murmured, fingers tracing Mia's engagement sketch on her palm. A simple band etched with intertwined vines. Just us, eternal. Life accelerated toward it. Invites handwritten on recycled paper, scents of sage and sea salt evoking the coast. Collective buzz support, potlucks turning rehearsal toasts, tamales steaming alongside tears of joy. Vic's shadow? A footnote, her scandal fading to rehab rumors, Elena's pity brief. A card sent neutral, closure's final stroke. Wedding week dawned golden, drive south winding through vineyards heavy with grape, air sweet with ferment and freedom. Cabin perched cliffside, windows framing Pacific roar. The crash a lullaby to their packing. Friends arrived sparse. Lila with quips sharp, the filmmaker capturing candid vows. A poet cousin reciting verses of love's quiet thunder. Rehearsal eve, bonfire crackled on beach, driftwood popping sparks to stars, salt wind whipping curls. Mia pulled Elena to surf's edge, waves lapping ankles cold, kiss salt stung. Tomorrow you're mine forever. Hands slipped under dresses, fingers teasing quick in shadows, gasps lost to tide, peaks whispered secrets to foam. Ceremony crested noon, sun high and forgiving, officiant a druidic friend in linen, words weaving commitment like spells. Vows poured raw, Elena's voice steady. You saw my fractures and painted me whole, my brush, my breath, my always. Mia's trembled soft. In your fire I found home, your heart, my horizon unending. Rings exchanged, vines in gold, simple and sure. Kiss sealing with ocean's applause, cheers mingling with gulls. Reception sprawled picnic style, blankets on sand, platters of oysters briny and heirloom tomatoes bursting juice. Wine from Mia's family vines flowing free. Toasts rose heartfelt. Lila's roast on lawsuits to love, cousin's poem on queer legacies. Dances barefoot, sand gritting toes, bodies swaying to acoustic guitar. Elena and Mia center, hips grinding slow, whispers of wife igniting heat. Night fell intimate. Cabin fire roaring, friends departed, the two alone in glow. They undressed deliberate, eyes devouring scars and freckles, maps memorized. On bearskin rug, lovemaking unfolded epic. Kisses mapping every inch, mouth suckling slow, fingers and tongues alternating devotion. Mia entered first with harness from bag. Thrusts measured deep. Elena's legs wrapped, nails raking, climax a shared roar. Roles reversed, Elena's rhythm tender fierce. Mia's pleas a symphony, release binding souls tighter. Honeymoon stretched lazy. Hikes through redwoods miss kissing skin. Picnics where grapes fed from fingers turned to feasts on moss. Bodies rolling, laughter to lust, peaks amid ancient hush. Evenings in hot springs, steam veiling, waters lapping as hands explored buoyant, climaxes rippling surfaces. Return to city reinvigorated. Loft now home etched in frames. Their collab show touring. Berlin to Brooklyn, crowds resonating with Entwined's message. Collective thrived, expansions dreamed. Elena mentoring young artists. Mia scouting talents with Elena's eye for fire. Years layered like glazes. A adoption journey, paperwork mountains yielding to toddler chaos. Little Sophia, curls wild as Mia's, paint smeared as Elena's, her giggles the loft's new soundtrack. Challenges came, Sophia's schoolyard taunts met with family talks, Elena's biennial slump eased by Mia's curations, but roots held, love's tree branching resilient. 10th anniversary dawned Big Sur Redux, Sophia with grandparents, cliffs unchanged but they softer edged, lines of laughter etching faces. Vows renewed at sunset, rings kissed, love-making in cabin fierce as firsts. Bodies knowing every curve, touches electric with history, climaxes a testament to endurance. Reflection came quiet. Elena's memoir penned, pages turning scars to stars, Vic a distant chapter closed. Mia's gallery a beacon, shows birthing movements. Sophia's first canvas? A swirl of them, three colors bleeding family. In twilight years, rockers on porch, hands lace wrinkled, sunset painting bay gold. Worth every stroke, Elena sighed, Mia's head on shoulder. Everyone, Mia echoed, kiss soft eternal.